I appreciate everyone who did come on so far. We're going to get to the last person. We have RTP lined up. Again, I apologize to everyone I did not get to. I apologize, everyone. But we're going to go on to RTP for the last one here.
Hi, Miss Williamson. How are you? Sorry about the camera angle. This is awful. Thanks for staying up with us, Miss Williamson. I appreciate it. All right. So I'm a former Republican. I'm a former Christian. And I'm extremely leery of the way that propaganda and ideology can be used to sway an electorate. You've called abortion a moral issue, which you again talked about tonight, which leaves out the fact that many times it's a medical necessity. You've called COVID vaccinations for children draconian. You've listed GMOs as a source of...
I didn't say anything like that ever.
Okay, I had the... do you want me to pull... I could pull up the quote. We can just skip that if you'd like.
That was before COVID was here, and it wasn't about the vaccines. It was about mandates. So, excuse me, sir, but what you just said...
Sure. Everybody can look at that themselves then. You've listed GMOs as a source of corruption in our food system, despite overwhelming scientific disagreement that they're safe. And you've mentioned antidepressants and the research into biological factors existing simply because of the industry. So
I didn't say it existed simply because of the industry. No, I didn't.
So I quoted that exactly from your quote. But again, people could probably check that. My question is this. As a leftist, it's not only important that we can articulate our plans, but that we can actually implement our plans and build a coalition that will help us do that. I've seen no evidence that you have either. The coalition, your support seems to be waning. What plans do you have going into 2024 and up to the election that would make us think that we can lean on you and that you could build a coalition and that you could get the things that you're talking about actually into place?
First of all, you say my support is waning since you seem so into facts, although you're pretty slippery with them. There is no factual...
Well, with all due respect, I fact-checked all of this before. So
RTP, let's let her respond real quick.
That's number one.
Well, I'm going to respond if I get called out.
I have already said, whether or not I have a House and a Senate that will go along with my plans is not just whether I do something, but whether you do something. Whoever the president is, the president will be able to effectuate his or her agenda to the extent to which, number one, Congress goes along. That's true of, whether it's Joe Biden having to work with Kyrsten Sinema and Senator Manchin. It's the same thing. And as I said before, this will have to do with whether or not the American people elect someone. I also would hope that because of my conversation with the American people, that their own, and one of the things that it must change is we must change. Who we are must change. We must begin to see civic engagement and political activism as simply part of a well-lived, meaningful life. So I always say, some politicians will say, send me to Washington and I will fight for you. And that's the old model, much like you're saying, do you have the coalition? I don't want to go to Washington and fight for you. I want to go to Washington and co-create with you. I want to go to Washington and deal with factors there that are no different than people have to deal with in state houses throughout this country, whether it has to do with Concord, New Hampshire, whether it has to do with Sacramento, California, whether it has to do with Austin, Texas, or wherever. So I want to do in Washington what I want to do, what I need all citizens to do if you care about your community and your state and your country. Many of the issues we're dealing with today have to do with ground zero being in these states, much like when we're talking about women's reproductive rights. That's the coalition I'm building. The coalition I'm building is with the American people, and it is the American people in partnership with me who will ultimately have the power to move this away from the corporatist direction.
Sure, but how would us being on your side allow you to push legislation through, to advance your agenda, right? Because that still goes through Congress.
Of course, and that's as it should be. We don't have a king or a queen. The president does not have a magic wand. We don't want the president to have a magic wand. The president is one of three co-equal branches of government. Once again, and I've said this several times already, whether or not I will be able to effectuate certain aspects of my agenda will have to do with who's in the House and who's in the Senate. It will also, however, have to do with the pressure exerted by the American people. If I become president, that says to me the American people are in the mood for something new. They're in the mood for a difference. And I would hope that those who are attracted to my candidacy will not only work for my campaign, and I hope you will go to my site. I hope you will volunteer. I hope you will come to New Hampshire, canvass with us. I hope that you will make this happen with me. However, give equal attention to the people running for Congress in your district. Give equal attention if you're one of the 1/3 of states that have actual senatorial races in 2024. It's going to take more than any one election. It's going to take a real sort of evolutionary fervor. And I do believe, though, that as JFK said, those who make peaceful revolution impossible, make violent revolution inevitable. We must move things in a direction of real change in this country. Positive change, a change in the direction of greater justice and greater democracy, or to be honest, I fear what's going to happen in this country.
Thank you. And honestly, thank you. We don't get a lot of opportunities to talk to candidates. I think it's important sometimes to give the most pushback. I appreciate your willingness and your courage to walk onto a platform where you don't get to know what the questions are and take the questions. So I apologize I come in strong. We get one shot. And I think the people that at least are in my group, we want to hear the toughest questions we can possibly ask the candidates. I think you've done a good job tonight answering tough questions, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
I accept your apology.
Wow. Yeah, thank you.
I say so. Other people push back, but they push back with respect. Thank you for getting there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, RTP. Have a great night out.
Thank you.
Marianne, I really just want to say again, I appreciate it to follow on to what RTP said. Great thing answering all these questions. These were some pretty hard questions asked from people all across the debate space that of my generation and people who are older as well. So I'm really glad that you were able to answer all these questions. It's really, really cool to see how presidential candidates can interact with us, especially the younger of us, so that we can also be a part of this political process and to bring more younger people involved. So I really do appreciate that. This is a really cool thing. I just want to make that known. I really do.
Well, I appreciate you. Thank you for having me on. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, and I wish you and all of your followers well. And God bless. God bless. I said it.
You're good. Don't worry. I appreciate you coming on, Marianne. Have a fantastic night.
You too. Bye-bye.